Hey, everybody, it's Mike with Riding in the Ozarks, and we have a little different setup tonight. It's too hot to be in the garage tonight, so I'm working off of a laptop in the bedroom. Firecracker will not be joining us tonight. She's got something going on with the grandson tonight. So you are stuck looking at me and the beautiful Steve Bates, otherwise known as Bagger Bader. So,
I'm sorry,
man,
guys.
it's been a while. Like, what, 48 hours?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, a lot of people probably don't even realize this, but we really don't know each other super, super well. We only met a couple years back and we just kind of kept in touch. And the next thing you know, we're doing this live. So thanks for the invite. I've been enjoying it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we met Steve at a couple of events. He was following the channel, started commenting and hanging out and stuff and getting to know each other better. I mean, we've been at the same events multiple times now over the several years. And then like Spring Fling, we all went and rode together. I mean, that might have been the first time we actually got to like go out and do a ride together with Spring Fling this year.
It was. Yeah.
And I must have impressed him. Must have. Because he turned around and he let me ride his road glide this weekend in Kansas City. We went to Kansas City to visit, got to stay at Steve's place. He put us up for the weekend, which was super, super nice of him. And then he let me ride his road glide around the Kansas City area with him, and he rode Chi-Chi.
That is correct. Yes. Yeah. I followed you down in Arkansas on 23, and I saw you taking the curves, and I said, this guy can ride my bike.
Wow.
And I conceded. I mean, I feel confident in saying that you're a better rider than me.
Well, I guess everybody has a day. I might just been having a good day, but I've been doing it for a little while now. 87 Ricer asked if you have less than 50 subs on mobile phone, are you still allowed to be a guest on YouTube Live? I don't know. We use StreamYard, so I don't know if there's any restriction. I think the restrictions are when you're hosting a live, not being a guest on a live. I think anybody can be a guest on a live. Look who's in the chat tonight. It's Road Rush, man. She said, hi, Steve and Mike. Everybody else chime in where you're at. We'll get to those comments in just a minute. We'll go through the list who all's here with us tonight. But yeah, we saw Road Rush this weekend as well. Yeah, now, we didn't get to visit with her as much, but it was kind of cool. We're rolling down. That was what, 435 coming back from Weston?
Yep.
And we're slowly catching on these bikes. And I get about, 100 feet, maybe somewhere around that ballpark. And I'm like, that's Road Rush, because that's an Arctic Blast and that's a female riding it. And we're in Kansas City. So that's Road Rush. And we've rode with Road Rush before. So I knew her bike. I've seen it in person and stuff, but I knew also from her channel what she had and stuff. So I rolled up on them, and they probably thought I was a lunatic whipping up on them on 435 and waving and yelling at them. But I think they finally recognized Firecracker and knew who this crazy guy was.
Yeah. Yeah. That was funny because when I saw you guys pull up next to it and I saw Firecracker waving and I saw the Arctic Blast paint, I thought, I think I know who that is.
So my boy Nick is in the house. Nick is going to be moving out of the city and down to see us. We got XAN Biker here. I picked up a little echo. I hope that wasn't me. Let's see here. It's been a hot minute since I hoped I would see popped into your feed, putting out great videos. Thank you. And then that's 87 Ricer. Who's here in Missouri. Let's see. We got Jamie Roberts here from Bucyrus, where the men are men and the sheep are scared.
Oh yeah.
So, anybody else out there chime in, say hello, let us know where you're at. So, yeah, we thought the topic tonight, we would talk a little bit about supporting local businesses. And this is kind of coming up because that's really kind of all we did Saturday. We've been to Kansas City a few times, and we came up with the $5,000 poker run a couple of years ago and rode Steve and the River Bluff Baggers and stuff. And I think actually that day, Steve, you rode with your crew and we rode with River Bluff Baggers that day and stuff. So we saw him there, and we hung out some, but we didn't ride together that much. But we went to one of the same places there, the Hilltop Bar. And you want to tell them where it's at, Steve? You know how to pronounce that better.
Yeah, so the Hilltop Bar, it used to be called Helen's, and then Helen bailed out and gave it to her daughter. So now it's just Hilltop Bar, and it's just outside of Tonganoxie off Highway 16. And it's a really cool old metal building, pretty cool spot. And definitely one of our main hangouts that we ride out to from the city.
Right. And they were doing an event this weekend called the Biker Bash, kind of, you know, featuring bikers, and it was all about bikers for the weekend and stuff. So that was cool. We went out and supported that for a little bit. And then Road Rush says she lives out there. So I guess we missed her at the Hilltop, but then we rode from there on up. I thought Steve was going to drop me off at the Leavenworth Federal Prison, but luckily he didn't pull in and tell him to nab me. And then we rode on up to Weston, Missouri.
Yeah. I noticed that when we were driving by the federal prison, you were getting a little tense and a little nervous. But
flashbacks, but we're okay.
And what you do once you're in Leavenworth, you're following the Missouri River, and which is really pretty. And so we follow that up to Weston, where there's a couple of cool little spots. And I've said it in the past, Weston's kind of like Eureka Springs or Deadwood. It's real old buildings downtown, and there's lots of little gift shops, and a lot of ladies love going there. There's wineries, and so it's a cool little town. And then they've got a couple cool bars that are very biker friendly. And I'm trying to remember what the mill, what they officially call the mill. See if I can pull it up real fast.
The one we stopped at?
Yeah. So down at the very end of Main Street.
Yeah, the Coal House Lodge.
Coal House Lodge. Yep.
That's how I found it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a nice couple, and they just kind of go out each day and work the land and add here and add there. And it seems like every time I go, there's something new to see. I never knew that they had a little church with pews, and I think you can even get married there. And that was pretty cool. So
somebody says Leavenworth is a country club. Try the military's prison on post. That would be my father chiming in there, giving us a little shit. Now, Road Rush said O'Malley's is the best place.
So
that's quite a coincidence, isn't it?
It is, because that was the next place we went to. And it's an Irish pub. You go about 60 feet down underground to where they used to keep whiskey barrels. It used to be a distillery way back in the day. And so a couple of things. It's really cool down there, but it's really cool down there because it's like 70 degrees year round. And I think you guys enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it had live musician playing, kind of a one-man band, had a full bar with a good selection for such a small place, kind of 2 levels. April thought it was funny that they had a sign that said "Beware of Mike" on the wall. I don't know if somebody called ahead and gave them a warning that I was coming or what.
I think that's just Mike's in general, maybe. I don't know.
It could be, but it was definitely a cool spot, neat. It's not every day you go walk down 2 flights of stairs to get to a bar underground, and it's naturally cooler climate. It was very cool.
Well, and if you remember, we had been getting quite a bit of rain, and so the water was actually seeping down through the walls. And you asked about that. I said, yeah, that's just natural earth water that's penetrating the structure, which makes you a little nervous, but
yeah, it'll be all right. You know, 87 Ricer here said, in my hometown, wings ablazing out of town, Purdy's Bar and Grill. And actually, we met 87 Ricer at Purdy's Bar and Grill for Shovel Fest. That's kind of what we wanted to talk about a little bit tonight. We just wanted to highlight some local places. We talked about some of the places we went with Steve. Back here at home, we go to Purdy's Bar and Grill. It's Purdy's Hall in Stony Hill, Missouri, and they do an event every September we go to called Shovel Fest. They do other events and stuff, but that's kind of the big one that we never miss. It's always goes to support some kind of charity or child in need. And they have a band and they put on a big show, and it's a good time. And a lot of people come, and they do a kind of a bike show that's, you know, anybody, I guess, can park their bike in there, but only shovelheads are going to be judged and receive places and trophies and stuff. And they do some bike games. It's just a cool joint. And it was kind of talking about that here a couple of weeks ago. Me and April rode to the highest point in Missouri, Tom Sauk Mountain. And on our way after Tom Sauk, we were going to go check out a joint that we had not been to before up in High Ridge called Johnny's Hideout. And they have a bike night there. And Johnny's Hideout's just outside of St. Louis on 30 there. My buddy Nick doesn't probably live real far from there. We thought we'd go check it out. We hadn't been there. It was an all right scene. I mean, there was a couple hundred bikes there. It's, not like what I experienced when I lived in Memphis 20 years ago and went to bike nights, but probably nothing's quite like that anymore. I mean, bike nights just aren't as big and as popular and not as many people attending, and the bars aren't as supportive of that and stuff. So the places you got like Hilltop or, O'Malley's or Purdy's that are doing events specifically for bikers and supporting bikers, Johnny's Hideout, get by there once in a while, give them a little business, thank them for their support and for putting on events for us as bikers that are, specifically catering to us on a particular night, things like that. We lost a great biker bar here in this area called the Elbow Inn. And, not due to anything other than the family that owned it decided not to renew the lease for the people that were running it and putting it out. They want to take it back to its kind of olden days, trying to restore it. It's been washed out by the river a few times during floods. It's right on the river. And it was originally like a sandwich shop. And we've heard they were going to make it like a wine and cheese place. They're going to make it back into a sandwich shop. They assured me on Facebook one time, because I'd done a video about the Elbow closing and stuff, and they got several thousand views. They reached out to me and said that they would be reopening, and they were going to definitely be biker friendly. Well, that's been a couple of years and that still hasn't happened. Of course, COVID happened, but no. 87 Ricer Elbow Inn is down at Devil's Elbow, Missouri, just on Old Route 66 east of St. Roberts, Fort Leonard Wood area. So 94 is where Defiance is, and we've been up there, and there's a couple of roadhouses up there, and that's a good place to go on the weekends. And they're biker friendly, hot rod car kind of thing up on the Katy Trail there in wine country just outside of St. Louis. That's another place like we go once a year to kind of just support. But I just wanted to, we talk about all these big rallies and all these big events, and it's, it's good to support those things too if you want to see them stay alive and keep happening. But it's also important to just, once in a while, instead of running and gunning and going to all these big events, get out and make a loop and support your local businesses right there next to home that are, trying to stay alive in this economy, and show them a little love, especially when they're doing bike nights or things like that. Because quite honestly, if we don't go support them, they won't keep doing them.
Yeah. I think I'm speaking for everybody listening. I know the little biker bars, the little taverns in these little towns outside of Kansas City, they got into their business because they enjoy that lifestyle. I mean, they enjoy going into a bar and having a cold drink. And so they don't just want to sit around and play checkers all the time. They want to make their bar fun. And if you guys go in there and say, hey, listen, I can get some bikers to come in, and, if you could get a band or, have some live music of some sort or something, I guarantee you most of them are going to be interested in that.
So, I'd like everybody who's in the chat right now to throw out the name and city for their favorite local biker friendly establishment. Maybe somebody watching this later can go back and find these places. They know they're in that area, pick them up, stop by, swing by, check them out. It's definitely something we want to highlight and support. And, we had a lot of fun just doing that. We didn't have to go to some big fancy thing. We had, stop, have a drink, roll for an hour, have another drink, roll for another hour. It was a good way to spend an afternoon. We ran by the bike show downtown and Knuckleheads area and stuff before we went and did this. Went and got some lunch, let the rain clear out of the area, and we just had a good time. Nick says Off Tracks in St. Louis.
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Then XAN says PK's in Carbondale, Illinois. Jerry said Wild Bill's Rulo, Nebraska.
Yeah. Now I've been to Wild Bill's many times, and that's a great bar. Jerry, you nailed it. We do a lot of runs up there to get the fried fish, and you can see the river, and there's a big bridge that runs across from Kansas to Missouri. It's right on the state lines. Great spot. Nice call, Jerry.
Now, I like this one. Mike Bowman said the ice hole at Lake of the Ozarks on the Strip at the dam. Definitely one of my favorites. But then, I've known those folks since before they started the ice hole, and I got to help beta test some of those drinks before they actually became an establishment where you could go buy them. 87 Ricer says in town, a place called Lionheart Whiskey, who partners with Chariots of Fire. Been putting up bike shows at the riverfront the same weekend as Shovel Fest the past 2 years. I miss going to Strokers.
Now I apologize. Where's that at? What city? What area?
I think he's going to say Herman probably, or somewhere in that area.
Okay, which is outside of west of St. Louis, right? For those not necessarily.
If you're not familiar with the Ozarks in central Missouri, that is west of St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah, Herman, Missouri riverfront. I mean, and October is a great time to go visit Herman. They have a big festival up there. Mm-hmm. A lot of German history up there and stuff. So that's a good place to go visit on a weekend. Always a lot going on and bands and things. So we usually try and make a run up there in the fall. Here locally, I mean, we've got some fine establishments to eat at, like the Tater Patch. And I won't say they're not biker friendly, but they no longer have a bike night. They no longer cater in any specific way to bikers. A few years ago, they used to do that pre-COVID, and it's just kind of all fallen away. And it's not something they've shown an interest in bringing back. Jamie Roberts says the All-American Campground in Lori. I may have messed up the name in my haste to post, but the Great American Campground and Dive Bar is, I believe, what he's referring to. There's also, it's something that Jamie's neck of the woods that we get down to is a last Thursday of the month at the local Sonic. They have a cruise in for motorcycles, a Lillicking cruise in, but it's mostly 90% motorcycles at least. And, there'll be 100 bikes show up there out in the middle of nowhere.
Where's that at?
Licking, Missouri. So
Licking.
About 30 miles south of us. At one time they thought about putting a university in Licking, but they decided against it because they knew everybody was going to call it Licking U.
Why so? And then do you go there before you go to Uranus, or do you go there after you go to Uranus?
Well, I guess it depends which direction you're coming.
Yeah. Depends on your taste. Huh. We're going to hell.
Road Rush says if you're in California, there's a Cook's Corner in Trabuco, Kenya.
Yeah, Cook's Corner. I had a friend that was out there for business, and I said, go to Cook's Corner. So she did, and she called me, and she's like, this place is awesome.
Leprechaun's Corner in Camden has bike nights on the first, third Fridays of the month. Yeah, I mean, we had a place up there at Mike Bowman's area at the lake that I'm trying to remember the name of them, but they recently shut down. But they used to do bike nights and stuff kind of out west of the lake there. I'm sure Mike will know who I'm talking about. I'm trying to remember the name of them. We've been there once or twice on runs and stuff. But that's what the inflation, the economy's a little tough. And so I'm hoping these places can hold out and that things get better soon. And, but I just kind of wanted to throw it out there as we were rolling around and having a good time supporting these local, dry docks, that it's important to get out and, support these businesses once in a while. Now, I'm not saying you got to go out there and spend a fortune or have $100 bar tab, but, hit one or two every Saturday afternoon, a different one, and throw them a little love and just remind them that you're out there supporting them just like they're out there supporting us.
Yeah. Typically those bartenders are working for, pretty minimal wage. I know I was making, and I've been drinking, diet soda for the last 3 years. usually I can get a soda for $1.50, $2, and I always just hand them a 5. And they're very appreciative. And so then when I come back in, I mean, they can't wait to wait on me. So there's a couple
I believe my dad's talking about the Naughty Hog, not Naughty Hang. But yeah, we went to the Naughty Hog when we picked up my bagger. I went up to see him when he was living up there, and that was a really cool spot. So there's a little street running along the bank of the Mississippi River there, and the bar was actually on the inland side of the street, and then on the other side of the street were docks and stuff like that, and places to sit and stuff. And you could pull up on a boat down there on the river, and the waitress would come down and to the dock every once in a while and see if you needed something.
Sweet.
You know, but there was a lot of bikes there and stuff, and that was a good time. That was a pretty cool spot. Nick says there's a better chance of me showing up in heaven than SoCal. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to go to SoCal, make sure you go to Cook's Corner.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been reluctant to go, but I'm afraid it's only going to get worse. If I'm going to go, I better go now before it gets any worse. The odds are getting less and less likely I'm going to go. I've got one friend that moved back out there that I would like to go see and maybe ride with if we went out there. So maybe sometime in the next few years before he retires and leaves again, we might run out there and do a run with him. But it'll probably be the one and only time I go if I'm not got something that financially, encourages me to go. So in other words, if you want to pay me, I'll think about it.
In the next 2 years, I'd like to do Highway 1. So, been doing a little bit of looking into, the West Coast. Probably would end it somewhere in LA. So, yeah, Cook's Corner would be definitely the one spot I'd like to hit.
Yeah, we went to a place in Daytona Beach, and it was recommended to me by a friend who works for Harley Davidson, who shall remain nameless. But I'm trying to think what that place was. We didn't get there till the last night when he recommended, said, hey, if you haven't been here, you need to go here. And they had really good food. And it's kind of like not one of the places you typically hear about when you're at Daytona Beach. Everybody talks about like down toward the lighthouse at the south end of Daytona Beach, there's a restaurant that has some racing history. I forgot what it's called now, but everybody says go there, and we went there. And then everybody says go here, and we went there. But this place, I need to find it. I know I took a picture there, so I know I can find it. But it was really good food. And that's the kind of places you want to find. They're kind of off the path that, I like these little places that like you discover that nobody else knew about, or very few people know about, that's not become so touristy that they're expensive and that they have a big name. I like to support these places. They're a little more hole in the wall, a little more underground.
Yep.
And of course, real biker establishments. I mean, when we were at Daytona Beach, we went to the regular biker bars there out toward the complex and stuff that the Harley dealer is, and some of that and stuff. But it was kind of neat to find these little places that were not so well known, that didn't have a big sign up that says biker bar, $10 for a meal and the band, and you get in there and the $10 meal is half of a pulled pork sandwich and a bag of chips.
Yeah. Yeah, and then too, for those that are not in Kansas or Missouri, I'd love to hear, think about what's the best biker bar in your state. I'd like to see those comments, and maybe give a little reason why. Is it great food, cold beer, lots of people hang out there, cool bikes. That always interests me, because when I go on a long run, I'd like to know kind of where to go when I get into, if I get to a little town. Like we went to Cody last year and Red Lodge in Montana and Wyoming. didn't really know where to go in Cody. I can't even remember where we ended up. Oh, went downtown to this fancy steakhouse thing that really wasn't that great. Red Lodge is pretty easy because Red Lodge it's got one main drag through the city, and that's where all the bars and restaurants are. If anybody hasn't done went through those cities on a run, man, you're missing out. It was unbelievable. Went through the Tetons over in Jackson, Wyoming, and then did Beartooth Pass. It was excellent.
So Zan says now a good place that's out in the boonies is Bottoms Up in Jacob, Illinois. 87 Ricer loves Strokers in Dallas, and I've heard good things about them, but I have not been there yet. But I definitely want to check that scene out.
Yeah, I've been there. Really cool place. And Rick Fairless, the owner, he's a little half crazy. And of course, I did get my tie-dye T-shirt. I had to get a tie-dye. Don't wear it very often, but I got one.
So the tap room, the Daytona tap room, that's the one I couldn't think of. And I don't know that I would call it particularly a biker bar, but it's definitely biker friendly and stuff, but really good food, really good price considering it was bike week and everybody's overcharging and they weren't and stuff. And so it's places like that too that I also really want to make sure we support because they're not out there gouging us. They're treating us the same as they would any other day of any other week.
Yeah.
So Steve, you went on a trip here a couple of weeks ago, man. Tell us a little bit about the trip you took and where you went. You went and saw some biker establishments.
So apparently I'm shy. I met you, and I met a group of riders from Omaha through a classmate of mine, and just instantly, enjoyed their companionship. And so we've done some runs together, and a lot of times I'll ride with them down to the Lake of the Ozarks or Arkansas. But anyway, they invited me to go over to Illinois, to the west side of Illinois, and hit two very well established biker bars. One's called Poopies, and that's in Savannah, Illinois, which is right on the Mississippi River. And then the other one is in Langley, Illinois, which is called Psycho Silo. Both are big biker bars, catering to, for people that, for large groups. And just had a blast. Now I will say we caught both bars on probably off days. There wasn't a ton of stuff going on, but maybe that was a good thing. So because it was just allowed us to just go crazy and have a good time. I got my ass spanked by the shot girl. May have done some other stupid shit. And then ran over to Psycho Silo the next day and hit it. And for anyone that wants to go ride, it's a really great destination run because you're running up along the Mississippi River, and the riding's really good. I mean, it's not technical or anything, but it's just really pretty. And they had their wives with them. I was solo, and the girls were just having a ball too. So strongly recommend that run. I think we're going to try to maybe make it into an annual. It was that much fun.
Cool. We went to Johnny's Hideout a few weeks ago, and I got a bunch of friends that are, talking about going there this week. They're all posting in a chat group right now. And I'm like, we just went, we're probably not going back and stuff. It's for us, we went. It's always on a Wednesday night, and it's an hour and a half ride home. So we went on a Wednesday when we were off work so we could take our time getting there. We hit Whole Shots, which is another bar off of Highway 30 up there in Dittmer, Missouri on the way. And so we had a good time and hit a couple of joints after doing a nice long ride and stuff. So,
real fast.
I'm just saying, like these places, man, if you know where they are, share them out, tell your friends about them, get somebody else to go, even if you can't run there. I've heard about Poopies because a friend of mine did dyno drags there and stuff.
Yeah, so I found out so this is a biker who got the nickname Poopy. So I found out how it happened because God knows that could go a lot of different directions.
Right.
But apparently, when he was a little kid, a bird pooped on him, and so the name stuck. They just started calling him Poopy.
All right. Well,
And I found out too. He sold it a year ago. So there is a new owner, but obviously whoever the new owner is plans to keep it very similar to the way he had it. So they had a live band. They got a big stage, for bands, and you could draw a large crowd there. It's a large. Both of those bars have acres of property.
So let me ask you, I heard this being talked about on another podcast and stuff. Have you noticed a concerted effort by Harley Davidson and the dealerships to have events all across the nation at dealerships on certain days? Like, for example, a couple of weeks ago, we went to what they called the Summer Bash at Renegade Harley Davidson. Lake of the Ozarks was having something the same weekend. The dealership where the guy from 530 Bikers podcast works, they had something that weekend too. And he was kind of talking about like, these are weekends that Harley wants them to put on an event, and all the dealerships are doing it like the same weekend. This one weekend a month, they're all supposed to do some kind of like big campaign event or things like that. I didn't know if you'd noticed much of that going on up there, but I kind of wonder if that's good or bad to have such a concerted effort for them all to be on the same day. If you're in the Kansas City area, how many Harley Davidson dealers are there in the Kansas City metro area?
So there's 3 now. There was 4, but 2 of them are owned by the same person.
Right.
And so their main store up north by the airport, they years ago they built a stage, and they have barbecue kitchen back there, and they have just kick ass bike nights every Thursday, and then Saturdays they have a band come in for several hours, like 2 to 5 or something. So they do. I think that's treated them really well.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder if you're got too many dealerships too close together, like in Kansas City or St. Louis, where there's multiple dealerships, and all the dealerships are having an event on the same day because it's a coordinated effort. Does that make you pick which dealership you're going to support and not support multiple? I mean, if you're in St. Louis, you either got to go to Big St. Charles, you got to go to Doc's, or you got to try and run around the city all day and make all 3 for different reasons or whatever. But I mean, sometimes I wonder if maybe it would make more sense to have one on one day, this weekend. And if there's another dealership in that territory, let them schedule their event on the next weekend. So people might go to a dealership 2 weekends in a row instead of just doing it one weekend and being one and done.
Well, and then I can't help but think, Mike, if you're saying that you're seeing this trend, is corporate Harley throwing them some money to have these?
Yeah, they are. I don't know if they're throwing them money, but they're pushing them to do it, and they're throwing them things to give out like challenge coins or cups or things like that. We went to the one at Renegade Harley Davidson last weekend, and they had a little wheel you spin or a card you scratch kind of thing, and you win a prize. And I got a Renegade, I got a Harley Davidson cup and some stickers. April got a dry bag, things like that. But if they're having events like that and all the dealers are having them all on the same time, you then are forced to pick which dealership you're going to go to, and you might not support multiple dealerships for those events. That's the only thing I'm learning about. And Road Rush said that Worth did that. She made that comment. She saw them do it at the same time. Zan said he's noticed that Black Diamond and Marianne got an ad from corporate about different happenings at different places. So yeah, there's a big concerted effort this year by Harley for these dealers to have specific events on specific days all across the nation on the same day. And, Road Rush says they're trying to make less active dealers to have events. And that might be, I know Renegade has events almost every weekend. We're going to be back down there this Sunday for the Hogs for Dogs ride. They have one of their largest runs of the year. It's $25 a person, I think. And it's all the money is proceeds. It's a big fundraiser, goes to the local animal rescue, and they're trying to build a new fence for that and stuff. So we're going to go down, support that, do the run with everybody else down there. It's not my event, but I will be participating. I will be there. If anybody shows up at Renegade that doesn't have a sticker, holler at me. I'll try and have stickers with me and stuff. And we're just going to go do the ride and help participate and enjoy the show. I think we're actually going to run down and stay in the area on Saturday night so we don't have to make a 2-hour run early in the morning. Firecracker said that she would do it, but it would not be her preference to get up at 6 a.m. and be on the road by 7. So
yeah. It's a little early.
I guess the idea is on her day off, she doesn't want to get up the same time as she does during the week, but or earlier. Yeah. But yeah, we're going to do that this weekend and stuff. So
I don't have any plans. I know that usually the group that I kind of ride with, I'm sure that some of them will come up with a good plan. And I'd like to get out Thursday too. I don't have to work. So
I got Thursday and Friday off.
Ooh.
On short notice, we got Friday off too. Don't try and do any business at a state office on Friday. I'm just telling you.
I was going to say
you're going to find out. Besides, like the Department of Revenue offices, they're probably going to be closed.
Yeah.
I don't know if Department of Revenue offices will be open or not because those are contract offices. But if you decide you want to go on the run Sunday, holler at us. I think we got a room with 2 beds in it. Saturday night down at Stratford. You could meet us down there, do the run with us Sunday, and then head back home.
Okay.
If you don't get a better offer.
I don't know. It'd be tough to get a better offer than hanging out with you.
You might get an offer that includes sex or nudity. That would be a better offer because you're not getting either one of that in my room.
I haven't been in your room, but I've been next to your room, and let's just say calisthenics, something was going on over there. We shared a bed, we shared a wall. That's all I'm saying.
Road Rush said, "Come back to KC and let's ride." Well, I'm not going to make it back to KC this weekend. We'll be at Renegade on Sunday. I've committed to that. But if anybody else, Mike Bowman or anybody else wants to come down and ride with us on Sunday, we'll be at Renegade raising money for Hogs or with Hogs for Dogs run. So help the Springfield Animal Rescue area.
I was thinking that Renegade was in Springfield. Couldn't remember.
Yep. Yeah, well, I think we got a room at Stratford, which is like 15 minutes up the road. A little cheaper, stayed out of town.
Yeah, that's not that. I mean, that's an hour and a half run from Kansas City. That's not bad.
Yeah, you come right down 65 and hang a left, and Stratford's like the next exit.
Yep. How about everybody in the chat? Where are they going? Where are they riding this weekend? Put it in the comments.
Or where have you been riding, or where are you going? What do you got planned? Outside the Hogs for Dogs ride, the next thing we got, Road Rush. If you want to ride with us, I'm just saying we will be back in Kansas City later this month for Thunder on the Speedway.
Yep.
Steve, you know more about this event than I do, other than I know Schmidt Law Firm helps sponsor it, and there's going to be dirt track races. Tell me what else we got going on and where this thing's at.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. There's an MC here in Kansas City, Soldiers for Christ, who put this on. And in the past, they were having it about an hour south of town of Kansas City. And this year they've decided to have it at the racetrack. I believe it's called Lakeside Racetrack, which is right off Highway 5, which is the best run in Kansas. That's about the only road in Kansas that has hills
56,
and turns.
5615 Walcott Drive, Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah. So that little racetrack is right off the river in KCK.
Lakeside Speedway, Kansas City. Yep.
Yep. Right off 635 interstate. And they've had big turnouts in the past. And again, it was an hour south of here. So I'm sure they're hoping to have a big turnout.
So on Saturday, they got a national flat track race, the Ives Brothers Wall of Death, Scotty Scrubs Daredevil Harley Jump, the Drifters Co. Harley Stunt Show, which I've seen Drifters Co. before, and I've seen the Ives Brothers before, a bike show presented by Vanilla Cycles and Evolution Cycles, live music and more, motorcycle vendors, custom-built chopper raffle by Vanilla Cycles. On Sunday morning, we have a free biker breakfast. The raffle bike winner will be announced. You must be present to win. The Wall of Death will still be running. A-Bait of Kansas, Dirt Drags, Drifter Co. Harley Stunt Show, and the Daredevil Harley Jump again. So
I think I said 6:30.
$25 to get in for the weekend.
Man, that's, I think I said 635. I meant 435 and Highway 5. Now, something else that we've talked about in the past, 1% clubs. They have been there in the past, and they'll have a booth. So if there's anyone out there that's interested in those type of organizations, you'll have an opportunity to probably sit down and visit with them.
Buy support gear, that kind of stuff. They're usually selling that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I know some people get nervous about that, but I'll tell you what, they must have some kind of a truce or something, because it's never been a problem at all. They're all being cool. And
yeah, I don't think an event like that, this is a territory thing. This is a support the event thing. Yeah. And, it's definitely should be a good time. We will be there thanks to Smith Law Firm. They're got us a motel room and helping us get up there and stay for the weekend and check out the event. I'll be trying to make some lives and, do some videos and stuff about the event and promote it in the future. I'm sure it's going to be a great event. I'm super excited. I like dirt track racing, and so that's going to be going on. And, speaking of dirt track racing, Steve, you know what's coming to Bike Fest this year, right?
Yeah, they're having a flat track race.
AMA race at Eldon on Saturday night.
Oh man, that's big time, man. I definitely would like to get over there and watch that. And guys, I've never been to a motorcycle race. So I'm as virgin as it gets. But I tell you, I'm getting the bug. I am really wanting to get into the motorcycle racing scene.
So we got to go to the Springfield Mile a few years ago, and that was really good. April couldn't sit down in her seat. She was so excited, standing up and jumping up and down and everything else. And we're 87 Ricer asked, are we speaking about dirt bike, flat track racing, or modified car racing? We're talking about not dirt bike, but flat track motorcycle racing. They're on dirt. It's a dirt track, but these are not dirt bikes. I mean, they're set up to run on dirt, but these are not like Honda and Yamaha dirt bikes that are being raced. These are Harleys and Indians running flat track bikes, like the FTR 750 and stuff like that.
Yeah, their tires have little tiny knobbies, but they're certainly not the big giant knobbies you see on a dirt bike, race bike type thing. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So Road Rush is going to miss us. She's going to be gone. It's not our fault, though. We're trying.
She gets us all excited to want to go ride with her, and then next thing you know, she can't do it.
So Pebbles and Cornbread are in the house. Cornbread's a big fan of the channel. Always comments on all my videos. We'll give him a shout out and say thank you for all the support, brother. 87 Ricer said okay. Ducarian Mile Flat Track is this Saturday. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have never been to a flat track race, they're really good. The only problem, and the flat track racing committee knows this is a problem, is they let Indian build an FTR 750 specifically for flat track racing that's not a production motorcycle. You can't go to the Indian dealership and buy an FTR 750. They don't sell it.
Ass, right?
And right, they built a bike that is specifically designed for flat tracking, that's not taking a production bike and modifying it. And they've been kicking everybody's ass for the last 6-7 years or more.
Yeah.
I mean, like bad, you know, and the problem is
first, second, and third, right? I mean, they sweep
most of the time. Once in a while, there's been some Harley guys that have pulled out a few wins here and there and given them a run. But I mean, when Firecracker asked which one's the Harley, I'm like, that one right there out of the 8. And she's like, well, what other one? I'm like, no, that one. That's the only Harley in the heat, because guys are all racing Indians because that's the only way they're staying competitive. And I know Indian, you know, took advantage of what they were allowed to do. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
No,
but the racing committee needs to find a way to equalize things. Harley Davidson, for them, they don't see the value, I guess, in producing a one-off specific race bike for that they can't sell at the dealership. And so they haven't put as much effort into the flat track racing stuff the last 3 or 4 years. They kind of turned toward King of the Baggers, and they really are focusing there. And because they are so popular in the touring market, it makes a good business sense for them. But I would like to see them to find a 750 Revolution Max engine to throw in a bike and put it on that flat track and go after the FTR with that.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would be way cool. Well, you know,
scale down Pan America, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that'd be badass. And you got to remember, Polaris has way more money to play with than Harley does. So they can afford to, you know, do something like that more so than Harley could.
Indian motorcycle couldn't do it without Polaris's back.
Oh, God, no. God, no.
Yeah.
And I don't know if segue here. I just saw where they're going to have a flat track race in downtown Sturgis at the rally this year. I believe it's on the 11th. So it's at the tail end of the rally. But how cool is that? I wish I was going to be there for it.
Yeah, they were doing some testing. I saw some, like, the streets were cleared and doing some laps and stuff just to kind of test the route and the times and see if this was a feasible thing to do. And it's going to be something else. I mean, I can't imagine racing around downtown Sturgis on the street city blocks. And how are you going to keep the drunks that are on the inside from trying to get to the outside of the track? Put up a causeway, or they're going to get ran over. I don't know.
It probably is a good thing that I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
Get killed. Get my ass killed.
Get your ass in trouble.
Yeah, shit. I don't need that.
So, yeah, just, you know, thought we'd come hang out tonight, guys, talk about some of the things we've done, some of the things we've been to, support your local businesses. The big events coming up, of course, are Sturgis. I'm going to have a couple of videos talking about the epic rides that I recommend you take when you go to Sturgis. I can't talk about campgrounds and bars so much because I haven't done a lot of that, Sturgis. I've hit a few bars. I mean, I've been to Full Throttle Salon and Steel Pony and the Chip, you know, and a few of those bars. And I'm learning a little more about that. But when we go to Sturgis, I mean, we really focus on the riding. So that's really kind of where my strengths are, to talk about what there is there and what to do there. I'm learning more of the other stuff, but the riding is always the priority for me. You know, we talk about, and I was thinking about this as we were rolling across up there with Steve. You know, the territory up there is a little different. The elevation changes, things like that, than what I'm used to down here in the Ozarks. And I love the Ozarks. Absolutely love riding here. But I tend to take it for granted because I grew up here. I've seen these roads. I've been on these roads all of my life, whether it's in 4 wheels or on 2 wheels or whatever. And you just get used to the scenery and the things, and you tend to take it for granted a little bit till you go somewhere else. And, you know, the last few years we've got to go to Sturgis and Daytona and Oklahoma and Kansas and rode across to Iowa. And, you know, the more you travel outside of your area that you used to, the more you can appreciate what you have. But also sometimes, you know, the more you learn to appreciate all of these different landscapes and parts of the country for different reasons. They don't all have to be the curviest or the most technical road to be able to enjoy them. You can appreciate, crossing or riding up and along the Missouri River or the Mississippi River or things like that without, it having to be a super curvy road. Yeah. Northwest Arkansas, don't get me wrong, has some great challenging roads. And if you want to go see where you can drag some pegs, that's a great place to do it. But if you just want to go out on a nice scenic Sunday afternoon cruise, rolling along a river bottom alongside the Mississippi up in St. Louis, on the river road's a great way to spend the afternoon as well.
Well, you learned something about riding in Kansas. There was one moment, and of course this happens all the time with the group I ride with. But we were driving down a nice country highway, and I pulled over into the left lane because there's no traffic. It's Kansas, right? And gave you the look, and next thing you know, we had a little race going, didn't we?
You call that a race?
Well, you whooped my ass. But hey, I mean,
but if you're tell them what I was riding. Give them the rundown on your bike.
Yeah. So my Road Glide, I started it to look pretty. Had all the added bags and all the bling and shit on it. And then in the last couple of years, when this ST craze has started up, I've started to kind of modify it to be more of a sport touring bike. So a year or two ago, I put in a 124 S&S kit. So it's like stage 3, and it'll get up and go. It'll jump, won't it?
Yeah. So what's Gigi got in it?
Gigi just has a 107 with a little baby cam, Harley Davidson Screaming Eagle cam in it. So yeah.
So Gigi's a little stage 2 107.
Yeah.
And you're riding solo.
Yeah.
And I'm riding your other bike, which is a 124.
Yeah.
Stage 3, but it's a bigger, heavier bike, and I'm also riding it 2 up.
Yep.
And when I thought when you pulled over there, you want me to just pull up and you want me to tell me something. Next thing I know, you rolling back on the throttle. So I didn't even downshift. I just rolled back on the throttle. I wasn't even going to downshift unless it got close. And I think you started to pull away for a second there.
Yeah, only because you let me.
Well, because I didn't downshift, but I just stayed in it. I think you went through 3 gears before I ever had to shift.
Yeah, it's fast. I think you mentioned that because you've ridden some of these new sport touring bikes from Harley. Mine's probably a little more jumpy.
Yeah. So yours rides more like a muscle car, kind of cammed and loped. And so a little more, like you said, at low RPM, you got to watch it. Don't let it get away from you. It kind of jerks.
That's that jump.
That's that cam and that lope in there and stuff, where the electronically controlled, 121 high output engine on the CVO ST doesn't act like that, but it'll flat get up and move too.
Yeah.
It's a different feel, a different sound. Power wise, I mean, I don't know. We'd have to really put them to the test. Of course, traction control, all those different things can play a factor and stuff. How they're tuned, what mode you're in, sport versus track versus, just regular cruise mode.
And guys, I tried like hell. I tried to get him to like a Road Glide. As much as he enjoyed riding my bike, he said, no, Street Glide's the only way to go.
Yeah. We'll do a video about that, and we'll talk more about my feelings on that, but don't expect, I'll ride just about anything besides, a few bikes that absolutely don't want to ride, but I've rode Indians, I've rode BMWs, I've rode Hondas, rode Harleys, and that's all in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't realize it because I don't do reviews on every bike I've rode, but I've rode 30 or 40 different motorcycles from 5 different manufacturers, or 6 at BMW in the last 5 years since I've had this YouTube channel. And Harley's where my passion is. And the Road Glide just is not, well, let's put it this way. I could climb off of it and walk out of the garage and shut the door and never look back.
Fair enough. Yeah,
but
I was going to go Street Glide, and then in 15 when they changed the fairing, I thought, well, hey, this is kind of new, and not a lot of guys have them, and I've always kind of wanted to be different, so that was kind of why I went with the Road Glide over a Street Glide, and then of course, next thing you know, by 19, it's their number one selling bike. So who knew?
yeah, Matt Laylaw did a review, I think, of the Road Glide, and he did a lot of history on the Tour Glide, the Road Glide, the progression of popularity on it and stuff. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Mike, we were talking about you. We met a friend of yours at Springfield. Mr. Bowman, Steve, is the one I told you about that has the 208 horsepower Ducati.
Yeah.
Mr. Bowman, you need to go ride with Steve because Steve's speedometer tops out at 120. So he doesn't know what his bike will do. He needs someone with a speedometer that goes above 120 to run along beside him. And I said, I know just the guy that could do it.
Yes, that bike will do it for sure. I think I'm in the 130s somewhere, top end. I'd love to find out someday.
So, Mr. Bowman, at the speed at the Air Force attack thing that you did, what was your top recorded speed? So Mike's running this Street Fighter Ducati 208 horsepower, and he goes and does on a track a timed run. And so throw a little chat out there and let people know what you're doing there. Maybe we should get him on the show one night to talk about what fast is fast. There's different kinds of fast.
Mike, he's probably doing 132. It's just in third.
Yeah, well, we can ask him what gear he's at when he hits 130 mile an hour.
I'll bet it's third before he shifts. Fourth for sure. That's a rocket ship. Wow. Can't imagine having that much horse.
Yeah, he says we have to trade bikes sometime because we talked about doing that. He's 170.9 mile an hour from a dead stop to a half mile.
Woo!
Do you think he's got enough speedometer for you to find out what your top end is?
I think I'm safe with this guy. I think I found him. I just don't want him to take a nap while he's
waiting on you.
Yeah. Come on, buddy. Come on, little feller.
87 said he's not going past 75 or 80.
I don't believe that.
He rides scooters. Well, he rides scooters and smaller bikes some, and he's I mean, that's just his thing. He's into the tie-dye. He's not everybody's out for an adrenaline rush, and that's okay.
So he's being serious. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, he really probably doesn't get past 75 or 80, I would say, and that's nothing. No shame in that game.
Nope. Ride your ride. How many times?
Cornman says he's with me. That he said the Street Glide is the only way to go.
I've owned both.
So I got at least one more Street Glide fan in the house backing me up. Mike says, I know you shared the video. I'm going to try to do a 1 mile event in October. Holy smokes. Mike, do you know does that speedometer have a top end? I mean, as far as like if you get over a certain speed, is it going to flatten out and not read, or does it digitally unlimited to how fast it'll record?
I'd be afraid to look down.
I mean, if that 170.9, I don't know if that's coming off of a radar gun or if that's coming off his speedometer or what, but
that's flat out getting it done.
I have to say about 147 is the fastest I've ever gone on or in any vehicle of any kind.
Too. I got a great story about a buddy. My next door neighbor had a Camaro, and I got a great story. It's too long for this, but I'll tell it to you someday. Just say I'm very lucky to be alive.
Well, I've seen the way you drive a car, so I think you're pretty lucky to be alive as it is. Fucking hoopty mobile.
Oh shit!
Speed was checked with lasers, so that 170.9 was read with a laser.
It was real deal. Wow. And then I want to know, Mike, did you have more in the tank? Could you have, was that top end or?
Well, if he's going to do 1 mile event, he must think there must be a little bit left.
I'm thinking so too. I'm thinking so.
87 wants to know if my channel's got drag racing videos. I think the only drag racing stuff we put on the channel was the dirt drags at Flatheads, and those were just a few clips of it here and there, nothing like really featured. But I did manage to pull second place at the dirt drags at Flatheads Rally. Oh, Bowman's. I shared Bowman's video on my social media, but you can find him at, is it Redline 13K on Instagram? I believe that's Mike's handle. Throw that out there, Mike, if you get a chance. He said he was still climbing at 170.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. With that much horsepower, doesn't surprise me.
So we'll be interested to see what a 1 mile event does. But,
here's what we need to do. Mike, get a hold of.
He may have to get a little trailer on the back. He might have to get a little trailer on the back of the Ducati, though, to haul his balls around on. Some bitches are getting big.
I'm thinking 87 Riser needs to get on the back of Mike's bike and let Mike show him what 170 feels like. That way he can officially say he hasn't ridden that fast.
Well, it's true.
See?
Yeah, so you can find him at Mike Bowman on Facebook or Redline 13K on Instagram if you want to watch somebody who goes fast. And, the first time I rode with Mike, 87.
No
way. So, but like we did a poker run with Mike down at Switchback Bar. And that was the first time I rode with him, and he went with our group. And I not to be picking on anybody, but I've had bad luck mixing sport bikes with Harleys. We've had a group of 3 or 4 kids that met us for a ride one time, early 20s on sport bikes. And I told them, I said, if you want to ride out to this event with us, that's fine. I don't mind. But, if you are in the group, you stay in formation, you stay in the group. If you decide you're going to get out of the group and go fast, then you get out of the group and you go fast and you don't try and get back in. We'll see you at the other end, but you don't try and get back into the formation once you get out. Yeah. And they said, yeah, no problem. They made it to maybe halfway point till we got where there's a straight stretch that's like 2 miles long and you can see forever. And they were like, fuck it. And one of them jumped out. The other two stayed. One guy jumped out and had to show off. The other 2 stayed with the pack. And when we got there, he said something or another. And he's like, said something about, he just couldn't do it. And I said, well, just remember that next time I post a ride, don't show up if you can't do it.
Yeah.
Because I said, you got out and you did your thing and that's fine. But, there's no sense going with this if you can't ride with the pack on a group ride, because you put everybody at danger getting in and out of the pack.
Yeah.
So Mike says he thinks he can get to 190 or 195 in the mile with gearing, but he wants that 200 mile an hour t-shirt.
Well, hell yeah, he does. I want him to get it too.
I wonder if that's like unlimited range for the 200 mile, or if you have to do 200 mile an hour in a 1 mile to get the shirt.
Good question. Yeah. And you said Mike lives down by you?
Lives at the lake.
Oh, look at the Ozarks. Okay.
Yeah. And, he's a gearhead. He's into muscle cars and all that kind of stuff too. So
I know some of my crew from Kansas City goes down to Pittsburgh and races in that right there on the state line. I think it's technically in Missouri by Joplin.
Is that the one they call Mocan?
Mocan. Yeah.
Mocan?
I bet he's been there a bazillion times.
You guys walked off at the Cole Lodge while I was finishing my drink. And the last couple that came in, they were not there on bikes, but they'd almost gone riding on bikes. He has a Goldwing. They live in Joplin. They go to Mocane all the time. And because we were talking about, I have a friend that races somewhere down in that area or something. And then they actually were debating about going to Beaver Lake or to Kansas City that weekend. They go down to Beaver Lake all the time as well and ride around Eureka and do stuff. So just small world, you know. And then, of course, I mentioned kind of what we were doing and who I was. And he's like, oh, I've seen your videos.
Yeah, I did hear him say that. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So he's got to do the 200 mile an hour in the mile to get the T-shirt.
All right. So the next question is, Mike, do you feel like you can do it? Give us a response.
The Kansas Airstrip Attack is not far from Mocane. So let's all wish Mike luck at getting that 200 mile an hour shirt when he does the mile in October, because that'll be pretty awesome.
That'd be badass.
Where are you going to do that event at in October, Mike? Where's that going to be held at? That's something that we might be able to come out and support you and watch.
Hey, while he's responding, you know, Mike, something that, because I know you've got a lot of connections down at the Lake of the Ozarks. It would be interesting to see if the Harley Davidson dealership there is going to have any pull on having another ride on the Ozark racetrack.
Mike's probably got as much pull to get on that track as they do.
Oh,
Mike's been on it. He knows somebody who like helped with it and stuff.
Okay.
So Mike's been on it. I don't know if Harley's going to get people out there again for a ride around the track like they did at the Ozark Rumble Rally or not.
Yeah.
But Mike says, I believe I can. Thanks, guys. It will be the first weekend in October at Blytheville, Arkansas.
Okay.
So first weekend in October, sons of bitch. You know what's that weekend? The Rat Run. First weekend in October is the same weekend as the Rat Runs. The Rat Run's always the first Sunday. Is that going to be a Saturday, Mike? If that's a Saturday event, I might be able to make it on a Saturday because we only do the Rat Run on Sunday. So we could go to Arkansas on Saturday and then come back home, spend the night, and make it to the Rat Run on Sunday, maybe. You'll have to get me some more information about that. We'll talk.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool to come watch that and support you and see if you can make that happen.
Yeah.
Maybe we can bring a little publicity to the event.
Yeah, you could do a video on it.
Bowman says, I hope they do go back to the track. It was a blast. So the track right now is not, from what I understand, ideal for motorcycle racing. Not enough runoff in the corners. It's designed for cars. You've seen videos of it, Steve. Mike Bowman's been on it and stuff. But, you know, maybe if we're getting lucky, we'll get a second track that's more specifically designed for motorcycles. I know some professional racers know about that track. They have heard about it. I mean, I sat on the bus with Cody Wyman, have a conversation. And if you don't know who Cody Wyman is, he's riding a Pan America in the hooligan race for Saddlemen and Harley Davidson and stuff. He's actually part of the Kyle Wyman racing team. It's Kyle Wyman's younger brother. Kyle, of course, runs the King of the Baggers series, and Cody's running the hooligan series and stuff for Kyle's race team and stuff. But I was talking to Cody on the bus, and I was talking to somebody else about the track there at Lake of the Ozarks. He's like, "Oh, I've heard about that track. It's getting a lot of interest."
Yeah. Yeah. And then a business partner of mine has a Corvette that he races, and he's been down there a number of times. In fact, I think I showed you a video of him riding around the track.
So Bowman said he'll run on Saturday for sure and maybe Sunday. By the way, I want to give a big congratulations to my buddy Jamie Roberts. You know that white Road Glide I rode at Spring Fling, Steve?
Yep.
Yeah, he went out and bought one just like it.
Sweet.
He thought that thing looked so good, he just had to have one, apparently. because he picked himself up one this week, traded his 16 Road Glide in for a 24, and he said, I have to throttle my 24 different than my old 16.
I'll bet. Jamie, nice pull. I got a good friend back in my hometown that traded his Road Glide in for a new CVO ST, and I got a chance to talk to him a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Man, it's a game changer. He loves it."
Did you see Laidlaw's latest video? I haven't got to watch it yet, but he announced what he's buying or bought.
He just posted, I think, a day or two. I watched it. He gets it. He gets a black one, and he rides it around a little bit. And of course, he's 6'6", so he's talking about little things that he wants to change to make it a little bit more comfortable for himself. But and one thing that was funny that he said, he goes, now, I'm not really buying this for the power and all that. He goes, I'm really buying it because I've really gotten into touring and riding and, taking long trips and stuff. And then at the tail end of the video, he basically says, "Oh, this power's pretty nice." So basically, he's kind of changing his tune. He's like, "Man, I might have to take this out to the track."
You don't buy the CVO ST for touring because it doesn't have crash bars. There's no place to put highway pegs.
No.
Because of the suspension on the back. You can't put a tour pack on it or anything else unless they get the relocation kit done for the suspension so that you can put a quick detach on there and put a rear pack on. So the ST is not really perfect for touring. We talked about that at Vegas. I mean, I was there with Matt, and I don't know that I talked to Matt Laylaw about it, but I talked to Matt Swedlin about, these would be some challenges to use this for touring. So, it's purpose built. It's a performance bagger. It's a sport bagger.
He brings that up to a certain degree back when he's talking about, because he said, my wife's going to want to be on the back, so I've got to get a different seat, and I'm going to have to put a tour pack on, and he didn't get real specific about it, but yes, those were concerns that he had.
87 says, I straight down to just my sporty, had to down to, I assume downsize.
Yeah.
Yep. And Randy said, hey kids, finally got parked. Randy's on truck. Hopefully he'll make her home tomorrow night. Randy's a good friend of ours, does a lot of events with us. Mr. Cool. Bowman said, hey guys, I got to run. Thanks for all the support. We'll talk soon, Mike. I'll try and make it to Hogs and Dogs this Sunday. That'd be awesome. Your friend who lives down there came and met us the last time we were at the event, told us about knowing you. She was wearing a Burt shirt, and I think she's coming to Hogs and Dogs too. So message me offline if you want to know who that is. I don't want to throw her name out on blast, but we met a friend of yours down there last weekend. We were down there. So 87 says, I'm just down in my sporty and haven't been riding much. Haven't had the itch. Unfortunately, the group of dudes I hang with just haven't been riding. So we just haven't ridden. And, for some people it's a community thing, a camaraderie thing and stuff. And for some people it's not, and that's okay. Each to his own. Lone Cowboy Adventure says, hey guys, missed the last happier storms up my way. I hit the thumbs up. Well, thank you. And the Lone Cowboy's up your way, isn't he, Steve?
Yeah, he sure is. In fact, I don't know if you can hear it. Hopefully you can't. There's loud thunder going on right now, so I'm sure the storm that I'm having is the same storm he's having.
Yeah.
I'm on the south side.
Missed the last hour. Storms just rolled through big time.
Yeah. We're getting nailed pretty good.
So Lone Cowboy, I told Road Rush because she was on here earlier, and I don't know if she's still here or not, but we will be up your way again for the Thunder on the Speedway event here later in July over there at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas. So come visit us, come say hi, come find us. If you get to the event and you can't find us, find the Schmidt Law Firm booth and ask Malcolm where I'm at. He'll know how to find me or where I'm at. I'll be checking in with him periodically and stuff because we will be there supporting that. So.
Right on.
And not, like I said, I'm not trying to call 87 out. He just hasn't ridden because the guys he hangs out with haven't ridden. Most of the time I'm riding with someone else. It's pretty rare that I'm riding by myself. But sometimes going to work, going home, sometimes at work, I get the opportunity to ride and I ride by myself. I haven't got the opportunity to ride by myself at work as much this year as I have years that past. I've been doing some riding back and forth to work, but not so much during work. My role has changed at my employment since I took a supervisor job back in December. So I don't get out of the office as much. Quite frankly, I spend more time in meetings and on the phone than I've ever have in the last 15 years. But that's what it takes to do the job, then that's what we'll do. But it means I haven't got to get the opportunity to get out and ride during the day as much or ride by myself as much. Because generally, if I'm off work and she's off work and I want to ride, she's going too. She's not letting me go out and ride by myself. We're going together. Yeah. She's like, no way, Jose. This last weekend was the most she's been on the back of a bike in probably over a year. I mean, she's generally it's 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there when she parks her bike and rides to the bar with me when we're out at a rally and she wants to leave her bike at the house or something. But most of the time she's on her own. So actually it was kind of nice having her sitting back there with me, hanging out, and riding with me this last weekend. Just something we haven't done together in a while.
The other thing that's so cool about her is her knowledge. I mean, she's, just in the time that I've known her, she was surprising, I think both of us a little bit when we were sitting around visiting one night. So I'm sure it's a lot of fun to have a partner in life that has an enthusiasm about the same thing that you do.
It is. And I mean, I'm not the guy to give marriage advice. I mean, I can't say that I've got a track record that says you should listen to me, but we've been together 8 years in September. We'll be married 1 year in September. We dated for 7 years before we got married. I had a previous marriage that didn't end well. We didn't have some of the commonality we needed. I thought we did till after we got married and things changed. So I wasn't going to be fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I wasn't going to be fooled twice. So I made sure that she got a long, hard test to make sure there wasn't some hidden agenda in there that she was going to hate motorcycles later or anything else. And, I'm very lucky to have a partner in life that likes to go out and do and enjoy and rides the same things and has interest in a lot of same things. She's not as interested in making videos as I am, and sharing the culture and the lifestyle, but she is interested in learning things like doing her own maintenance, talking about the stage 1 kit, and things like that. She's picked up on that stuff. She's learned a lot, and not because I try and drill it into her and make her learn it. And I don't act like she's dumb if she doesn't know something. She's genuinely interested in it and wants to learn it and wants to understand it.
Yeah, I think
Randy says she ain't bad for a white gal.
But I've noticed that what I picked up from her is that she has a bike now that she really likes, and she knows what it can and can't do. And then she's seeing other bikes where maybe they've modified it this way or that way, and they can do this. And she's starting to say, hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind if my bike could do this. So that's kind of what I picked up on. She's learning that part of it.
Right. Her first bike she picked based on sound and color without riding it. And she could touch the ground, and it was an okay bike for her to learn on.
Yeah.
But didn't instill confidence in her, and she didn't put a ton of miles down. We probably should have got her off of that bike sooner, but financially, sometimes you can't afford to do that. And, when the time came where my bike was paid off and we could get into another payment, she got into the Sport Glide, and we found that. And part of what triggered that was she was trying to figure out what she wanted for her next bike. I mean, I tried to encourage her to try the Lowrider ST because it had mid controls and some other things. And she just didn't want mid controls. She absolutely did not want mid controls when she test rode a bike. What she learned at Daytona this year was to shut up and give it a chance. She didn't have a choice but to ride something with mid controls for a day or two. Right. And by the end of 2 days of riding the Lowrider ST, she's like, I actually think I make U-turns and stuff better with this bike. And, I like this and I like that. And so what she's learned is just because she's uncomfortable at the beginning in the first 15 or 20 minutes, she's not she's got to let that kind of go and be open-minded to evaluating everything else and giving it a chance to grow on her. And that's like a lot of things with bikes. I mean, the Road Glide, I didn't think I would like it, but I've tried to be open-minded about it. I've rode probably between your ride and Sturgis and Vegas and everything else, I probably got close to 1,000 miles on a Road Glide now. So I'm not making a rash decision that it's not for me.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve's in the chat too, man. You got really lucky, Mike. Not sure how she's made out yet, though. Yeah, I'm not sure she's lucky, but I'm lucky. She's a one in a million, that's for sure.
Mike, you said you put her through a long, hard test. Bragger.
No, sorry. Probably shouldn't say that on here, but it's for me. I didn't give up motorcycles entirely through my first marriage, but for parts of it I did, and she wasn't supportive, she wasn't interested, things like that. And when I got out of that marriage and got back into motorcycles, I realized just how much I had missed and how much I'd sacrificed from that aspect of my life. And I think it did affect my mental health and maybe affected me. I mean, they say happy wife, happy life, but maybe, happy husband also makes for a happy life. And if the husband's unhappy, it's going to hurt the marriage.
Absolutely.
So, it's, it kind of goes both ways. And, finding that person that has that, passion for the same things that you can share those things with. And for me, I'm maybe a little bit obsessive personality. I get into something, I really get into that thing, and I'm like really into that thing. And then I think sometimes that makes content creation hard. If I get out of creating videos for a couple of weeks, it's hard to get back into it. I get started on other projects like moving here and trying to get stuff done around the house. That became the focus for a few months, and videos, I got a few out here and there, but they weren't the focus. But now that we're kind of settled in, I'm starting to get back in, and then the juices are starting to flow, and I'm coming up with great ideas for videos, and I just got to get time to film them and edit them and get them out. And, then we got to get into, moving the shop and other things. And Brian Porter says, I'm being poetic tonight. Well, that's okay. Sometimes.
Hey, we're versatile, man.
Sometimes I can preach it.
We give you the gamut, man. We're just not a one-trick pony here, guys.
Well, I mean, most of the people in the chat are probably people I have physically met, right. Rode with, and that's okay. It's a good time hanging out, having a drink, and just catching up.
Hell yeah.
Jamie says, I'll get a ticket on that thing. So that new 117.
Oh man.
It's surprising how much stronger that is than the 103, if that's what you're coming off of.
Busted Knuckles, your ears ringing me. You were in some of our conversations over the weekend.
XAN said, happiest day of my life is when I no longer had to pay child support.
Oh man.
What's up, fuckers?
I hear you.
What's up, Busted?
Hey, Cowboy, I'll get you some info too. I read your comment.
No, I did not get a bike. I rode Steve's bike this weekend. That was Steve's Road Glide. I rode around the Kansas City area this weekend, confirming my belief and suspicion that I'm not a Road Glide guy.
Road Glide just ain't going to cut it.
That was sound marriage advice. It goes both ways, not just her way.
Yep.
Well, at least it is for me. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm a marriage counselor or that I have good advice. I just know what didn't work for me and what does work for me, and we don't have to be up each other's butt about stuff. I can be at home and go out to the garage and work for 3 or 4 hours, and she can do her thing, or she can run up and visit her parents. Tonight she's doing something with her grandchildren, and I'm doing this, and there won't be any like, well, you didn't come do this with my family, or anything like that. I mean, it's fine, it's good, and we do things together, but we don't have to do everything together.
Yeah. Speaking of divorces, I bought a motorcycle 4 days after my divorce was final, and it would have been 3 days, but the son of a bitch sold the bike out from under me, so I had to find a different bike.
Well, mine was not immediately after my divorce, but it was within a week of me selling the house that I got stuck with in divorce. House closed, payments gone, bike is on the list. Done. And
Right on.
what was really funny is, I mean, I knew the house deal was happening. You usually know when closes are going to happen. Stuff. Oh, big thank you, 87 Ricer. He's throwed
Yeah.
us out some drinks and stuff, man. Appreciate that, but it's not expected, but I appreciate it. Busted Knuckles over here with this Road Glide no ride shit. He can talk the trash all he wants.
He's a shark brother.
But you know, now I got me all confused with the $20. I forgot where I was going with this.
Well, we're talking about marriage, I think.
Oh, and when we bought the bikes. So I was actually knew the house closing date, knew when I was going to be out of that payment, all that stuff. It was all approved. We just had to go do the paperwork. And I'd been shopping for a bike for over a year. And so Gateway Harley Davidson in St. Louis, actually where I was working at the time was in St. Louis. And they had a promotion on 2015s. And this was at the end of 2015, buy one, get this interest rate, this much off, blah, blah, blah. You know, I called them up. We worked out a price over the phone. They ran my credit, said, you're approved. Can you give us some money down? Because I wanted a black one and they didn't have a black one. They were going to go get a black one from Kansas City area. Like, sure. So I gave them $500 over the phone for a black 2015 Street Glide. And I mean, I had this thing all set, ready to pick it up the next week. And the weekend before that, I was riding this 1990 Ultra Classic that I had at the time and was riding it. That it was something I was riding while I was going through my divorce, and the damn thing broke a belt on the ride. And I had to call a buddy with the trailer to come pick it up 30 miles from home and haul it back home. And everybody just knew that I got mad and went out and bought a new bike because that one broke down on me. And I'd actually had the deal in the works for weeks, but I just hadn't told nobody because I just didn't want to share it till it was new, you know, really happened and all that stuff. So the deal closed. I picked up the bike at the dealership, and it turned out it wasn't a black Street Glide 2015. They couldn't get the 2015, so they gave me the 2016 for the same deal.
Sweet.
So I really snagged a really good deal on a 2016 at the end of 2015.
Nice.
Got really good financing. My credit was really good at the time, you know. So just sold the house. I had plenty of disposable income that I hadn't had previously, and so it just worked out really well. And I rolled home on I drove my car to St. Louis to work, which is 100 miles. I was commuting 200 miles a day at the time. And I drove my car to work in St. Louis, and the dealership brought the bike over to my work and dropped it off because I'd already done all the paperwork and stuff. And when I had done the paperwork and thought I was going to ride it home, they found a swirl mark in the paint on the bat wing from the factory, a flaw. So like, oh, we got to fix this. So I done all the paperwork, everything. Like, we'll bring it to you as soon as the new bat wing comes in. It'll be here in a few days. So new bat wing came in. They just brought it over to my work, and I had a helmet sitting in the office, and I just snagged the helmet and rode it home and left my car sitting in St. Louis all night. And I was like, fuck it, let them steal it. I don't care. It's more reason to ride.
Right on. That's awesome.
But yeah, that nothing make you buy a Harley Davidson like a divorce. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I bet they sell a lot of bikes right after divorces.
I'm sure it's a good selling point.
Good for you, Mike.
So yeah, I'm riding again. I found my happiness again, and it is.
Yeah.
You know, Busted says I've owned both. I've earned the right to talk trash, but you can talk all the trash you want. It still doesn't make you right. Just make sure you're talking.
I owned a Street Glide for 1 day. I bid on it in an auction, won the auction, and sold it the next day to a good friend of mine because I knew he'd won it. So he got a great deal, and I can say I owned a Street Glide for a day.
Miss Linda and I are discussing our trip for next year. I wanted to go way west, Redwoods.
Yes, Busted. You're completely
Yes.
correct.
Yes, divorce is the answer to a new bike.
Yes.
Let's
Yep.
just say it's the path. It's a path that you can take that will lead you in that direction. I'm not recommending it. They can be expensive in themselves depending on your situation. But I mean, if you're going to go that route sooner or later,
Sound marital advice.
Now, in my case, we kind of just decided we're going to take turns. She was the last one to get a new bike. She got a 2019 in, I think it was 2022 when we bought it. So it was a couple years old, used. We tried to buy her a brand new one, but they were really, really hard to find at the dealership at that point because Harley quit making them. 2021 was like the last year, I think. So in 2022, when we started shopping, we found out they didn't release them in 2022. So we bought hers in February. And I think the announcement, I already knew what was up, leaks and stuff, that the Sport Glide wasn't coming back. But sure enough, in 2022, the Sport Glide didn't come back. And I'm like, we got to find one now because they're about to disappear completely and your only option is going to be used. And we were searching for a new one in black and couldn't find one in black. And happened to reach out to Kyle at Pig Trail and said, hey, do you got anything? Because they get a lot of inventory in. And he's like, I got this 2019 with like 7,000 miles on it. I can make you a good deal on it. And of course, he sent us a picture and it had a trunk for her to put all of her shit in. And that was it. That was it. That was the deal. Boom. There we go.
Hey, Busted. It's real easy. You just go up there and you go, I got good news and I got bad news. Which one do you want first?
Good news is I'm buying a bike. Bad news is I'm not living
gone.
here no more.
Hit the road. No, I love my ex-wife. And so can you for $15. Just saying.
I think I'll buy a Big Mac instead and take my chances there.
Be a lot tastier.
Hawk 2. Sorry.
Spit on that thing. That's gotten some run. My God.
Oh, yeah. I mean, instant celebrity, though.
Yeah. She's all doing the circuit now, I noticed. All the vloggers are wanting her on there.
Think we could get her on the show, Steve? Can you get a hold of her?
I think
you
so.
Reach out to her, tell her you want a Hawk 2 test.
I was going to say we need to do a reenactment, and I'll be happy to be the the recipient. I'm still single, Mike. I can play.
I know you are. You can. So Busted wants a 2024 in Blue Burst or White Onyx. Busted, my buddy Jamie's been in the chat here. He just picked up his 2024 Road Glide in White Onyx, exactly the same bike for looks as what I was riding at Spring Fling.
That White Onyx is sweet.
April likes it better than the blue. She told me that's what I should get.
They're both nice, but that White Onyx, and like I mentioned to you, if you ever did want to do some graphics on it, to customize it, the look, white just plays so well with just about anything you'd ever want to do.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do on white. I've always done white on black, so I guess you'd do black on white, but
yeah, you could do a skunk bike like the 2013 CVOs. Great looking paint job. It's got the little green ghost going through it. Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I got some friends that could come up with something at Plug Uglies.
Oh yeah.
Congrats to Jamie. Yeah, they're already wanting to know what I'm going to get so they can start planning the paint job. And I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to afford a paint job after I buy a 2024, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Well, Steve, I think we've ran through the colors and the comments and everything else, man. Talked about what's coming, what's going on. It's going to be a couple weeks here, somewhere around the 16th. Maybe we'll try and do this again before we go to the Speedway, Lakeside Speedway, for the event there, Thunder on the Speedway and stuff. So, yeah, paying bills. Ugh, I hear you, Lone Cowboy Adventures. We've been working on house loans and finances and everything else, and all that's got to be right before I go look at a bike now. And so I put, for anybody that didn't know, put the Street Glide up for sale on Marketplace. I've been riding the Dyna mostly. I may ride the Street Glide to Kansas City for the Thunder on the Speedway if I don't sell the Street Glide first. But if I sell the Street Glide, then I'll be on the Dyna. But yeah, the Street Glide is for sale on Marketplace. 2016 Street Glide with 71,000 miles. And I know 14.5 may sound like a lot of money for something with that many miles, but it's in really good condition. Lots and lots of upgrades. Some I paid for, some I didn't. Let's be honest. But a lot of them I paid for. I didn't get a lot of stuff from YouTube for that bike. I mean, I had most of it done before I got that bike. So
yeah, but you worked for it because I know how much effort you put into your channel. So that wasn't free.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a free stage one. I didn't get free exhaust. I didn't get a free intake. I didn't get free custom dynamic lighting. They never have given me a single light. They have donated to charitable causes I've asked them to do. I think they're a great company, but I paid for all of my custom dynamic lights, paid for my seats. There's a very little that's been other than like the wheels that I got from TCMT Moto and the Razor Pack. I paid for everything. So we got a conversation here. Steve, are you going to have another red bucket party?
Yes, I'm sure I will. It was Fridays. That was the special day. But so many people at our age can't get away on a business day. So I'll probably have one on a Saturday, probably in the fall sometime, on a day where I can't ride. I'll post it on Facebook.
What's a red bucket party, Steve?
So quickly, back in my 20s, when I moved to Kansas City, I was in sales, and a lot of the people that I associated with, friends and stuff, were also in sales. So I would leave my office at noon, and I'd go pick up 5 cases of beer, and I'd throw it in this plastic red tub with a bunch of ice over it. And over the course of the day, all these salespeople that worked outside, that were tied to an office, would come by and have a beer or two. And then typically that evening they would come back. That's when the fireworks really got started. And we just had a blast. And, it was, you're in your 20s, you're having a ball every single. I mean, I'd wake up the next morning, my entire yard would be full of liquor bottles, beer cans, blow up dolls, you name it, it happened. I had a hot tub in the back of my house. You could imagine the festivities in that bad boy.
Busted wants to know if a feller can get an invite.
Everybody's invited, man. If you want to have a good time, drink a couple cold beers, come on over.
So do you know Lone Cowboy Adventures personally?
I don't. I follow his channel, and I know, so I've seen all that. I think in Eureka, we must have just missed each other by like a second at the Cat House. Because I think, did you say you met him?
Yeah.
And I hung out with you a lot, so I must have just missed him. But I'm sure our paths will cross soon. Seems like a good guy. Enjoy his channel.
But Busted wants to know if he can just get a couple.
Couple
till the bucket's empty.
Yeah, it just, yeah. And then typically, like I said, when that ends, when the 5 cases run out, there's a lot of other runs to the liquor store. So yeah. I don't have a hot tub anymore, although I'd like to get one. probably wouldn't have the same effects that it had when we were in our 20s, but you never know.
No, you never know.
Never
Maybe you
know.
can get Hawk. Maybe you can get a Hawk 2 girl in it.
I'd like to get a bunch of them in there. We had them back in the 20s. When I was 20, man, we would go down to our bar district called Westport, and we would find bachelorette parties, which there was always several every weekend, and we'd grab them and we'd say, come on back. It was that easy. Like taking candy from a baby.
My gosh, reminds me of 20s. LOL, you said it. All right, guys. Well, we've been going about an hour and 40 minutes here. I've got a video I got to work on editing and stuff. What's this KC Motormade stuff about now? We saw them at
Hilltop.
At Hilltop. They were out representing Schmidt Law Firm at Hilltop.
Yeah. Now I'm a little bit pissed at one of those gals because I grabbed my shirt and I said, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And she bailed out on me. She chickened out. I mean, come on. I thought you guys were professionals.
Now, Steve, I did have somebody message me. They didn't comment on that picture I posted of you in your shirt, but they did read it and they did think it was funny. And they gave it a laughing emoji on the post. So,
yeah, that shirt will be making its
more
way
people
to
read it
Sturgis.
than were willing to comment on it.
Yeah, that shirt will be making it to Sturgis.
I think you need to get one in your son size.
Yeah.
You think he's ready for that?
Well, the ex-wife still has a little bit of say in what happens there. Maybe after he turns 21, I'll get him one.
Okay. XAN said, yes, I like that shirt. See, a lot of people read it. They just weren't willing to comment on it.
Well, it gets to the heart of the matter. It cuts through the red tape.
Gets straight to the pointed stick.
That's right. And then I don't know if you heard me or not, but one of the bartenders at Hilltop was actually the gal who she's what made me think of that saying, because she actually played it out with her boyfriend at another biker bar. And I thought it was so goddamn funny. I'm like, that would make a great t-shirt.
Busted. All I can tell you is run back through my Instagram feed and you'll find a picture of Steve with Firecracker in the background sticking her tongue out at him, and pay attention to read that shirt, what it says that he's wearing in that Instagram feed. If you really want to know. And he had that printed up for special occasions.
And then, Busted, after you read it, I'll just send me your size. I'll send you one, because I know you're going to want one.
87. Thank you again for the $20, and you absolutely did not have to do that, but I'll make sure I buy a round when me and Steve are together or something with that on you. We appreciate that. He's a cheap date. He drinks Diet Dr. Pepper, but me and Firecracker can enjoy the rest of the alcoholic beverages, and we'll get him that or a water, whatever's left.
I'm cheap, baby.
All right. Well, I think we're going to get off here tonight, guys. We're pushing 2 hours. I got a little bit of stuff to get done. We didn't do one last week, and it was hot out in the garage. I'm still having a little difficulties getting the setup figured out here. It's too hot to be out in the garage with no air conditioning. So I brought this in, and I can't get the new Canon camera software to work for my webcam. So I don't have the usual camera set up, but we're making do. And what's important is the conversation, not the background. So hopefully you guys had a good time tonight. You enjoyed the show. We appreciate you all hanging out with us. Again, I hope to see some of you at the Hogs for Dogs run next weekend. And otherwise, if any of you are in the Kansas City area, we'll be back up that way in a couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll see you at Thunder on the Speedway. Y'all stay safe and keep on riding. We'll see you in the next one.